Hello, and welcome to this, my last vlog of the month. It is Monday, the 27th of September, 2021. And you have been busy. I've got one, two, three, four things to comment on today. One of which is somebody's telling me off. So we'll get to that soon. But first of all, from Jacob Brownlee in Liverpool. The question is, what's your opinion about the latest fuel crisis? Okay. First of all, there is no fuel crisis. For those of you outside our shores, we have an issue where we have a lack of drivers for fuel tankers, for food craters, and huge haulage firms are saying that they just haven't got the drivers, and so there is a concern that petrol isn't going to get to the petrol stations. Now, I must admit, I didn't know about this at all until there was an interview with some politician who started the comments by saying, "Now, we don't want people to panic, but..." And then they went on to explain exactly what the situation was with the tanker drivers, that there's a shortage. As a result, we've got people panic buying, because when they said no need to panic, all most people heard was panic. And rather like the toilet roll situation we had at the beginning of the pandemic, we've now got fueling stations closing because they have run out of fuel unnecessarily. Also, there are queues and queues which are about a quarter of a mile long in some places, when people are not only are they filling up their tank, but they're taking the opportunity to fill up cans as well with fuel, which is understandable if there was a crisis, but there isn't. Who is to blame for this? I don't know. The government are now blaming haulage companies for leaking the facts, but in fairness to the haulage companies, they've been going on for at least 4 years, and especially since the Brexit referendum result, they've been saying they're having a shortage of drivers, and we need to do something about it. I understand it can take up to 9 months to train a driver to be fully capable of driving these huge wagons. And over here in the UK, things are compounded because during COVID, no tests were being taken. And so what we need is the hundreds of people waiting to take their tests to take their test. And there's a backlog there. Just to compound the issue, there's also a problem with our licensing centre called DVLA, Driver License Driver Vehicle License Authority. There's a huge backlog there due to COVID, so we're told. I'm beginning to tire of COVID getting the blame for everything, and at a certain level, I'm beginning to tire of Brexit getting blamed for everything. But they both had an effect on a system which is extremely fragile. So what is my opinion? My opinion is there is no fuel crisis, that we need new lorry drivers. There's talk of changing the rules so that lorry drivers from abroad can come in, but it turns out that there's a shortage of drivers abroad as well. So get people tested. Sort out DVLA is what I say to my transport secretary. Sort out DVLA so they can then issue the licenses once the drivers have passed their test. If there's difficulty with people getting tests, then bring in the army, and not necessarily to train drivers, but to actually do the tests. That's my statement on that. Okay. Julia Docks from Somerset. What are your thoughts on the M25 Insulate Britain protesters? Again, for those outside our shores, we've got a lot of eco warriors now, sort of getting on the bandwagon for greener policies for the UK, and they insulate Britain, wanting to have policies put in place so that it's easy for everyone to insulate their property, thereby using less energy. And I absolutely agree with what they have to say. I'm not so sure I'm happy with the way they choose to do it. Yes, they do it in a way that it causes disruption, but also in this case, I mean, in some cases, they've actually glued themselves to the tarmac. And so there has to be consideration for their health and safety as well as everybody else. And there have been stories of ambulances and fire engines being caught in the backlog of traffic, and that I totally disagree with. And I read somewhere that somebody actually died, and that can't be allowed to happen. Yes, there's many other ways of highlighting issues, but don't mess it up for everybody else. And if you think about it, you've got the queues of traffic just spilling out a load of fumes, and so therefore the point of your protest disappears. Okay, Kevin Bloomer of Basildon in Essex. Right here, I've got to take a deep breath. Right. Kevin has written to me. He received it this morning, actually, and apparently last Friday, the 24th of September, last Friday, he says, I was with my 12-year-old son in Tesco's, and we bumped into you when shopping. Can I say how disappointed we were that you refused to give my son an autograph? We thought you were better than that. Well, Kevin, it's rather unfortunate that your surname is Bloomer, because you have actually made a major bloomer here. Last Friday, the 24th of September, I was not in Basildon. I was in Oswestry, miles and miles and miles away, working on the forthcoming documentary Bigger on the Inside. So it wasn't me that you bumped into in Basildon. It was somebody else who looked like me. This highlights that I'm often confused with other people, and most of the time I try to brush it off. What I want Kevin Bloomer to do is not necessarily send me an apology. I can't be bothered with that. But please let people know that you made a mistake. And this highlights also something I must say to the fans. I've had a backlog of my fan mail to deal with, because some of you will recall in a previous vlog I talked about this. Dun, dun, dun. It's a universal postal coupon. And I criticised the post office in the UK for not accepting it, although it does say on the back that it's to be used in any foreign country. Any. That's but in the UK it doesn't, and it's as if the post office have taken revenge, because the next thing I find, I've got a postman at my door saying that post that is forwarded onto me by my agent now has to be paid for. Well, for 30 years I've never paid for fan mail that's been forwarded to me. It's always gone to my agent, who then just crosses their address out and writes my address in. And so I was being told no more posts will be coming this way. So I've spoken to Royal Mail now, and the person who knocked at my door was being given information by a Jobsworth. And I can assure you now that my fan mail will continue to get to me, and I will turn it round as quickly as possible. So on that note, I'll say toodle pip. Try and take deep breaths and enjoy life as best you can. Bye for now.